I'm doing a video on Sonic, so I guess I've got to start this like every other video on said topic, right? Sonic was never good. Sonic 06. Did I do it right? Sonic the Hedgehog is a franchise, that's for sure. What can be said? It's inconsistent and all that shit, but I still love it a lot. I have for years and will continue to believe in it providing great content it's already done in the past. Is it foolish? Maybe, but it's not in vain. Sonic has made so many fantastic games. It's a shame so many people focus on the negatives. So, fuck that. Here at ZaffreRevolution, we love to talk about the games that make us happy. Seriously, I never fucking talk about games I don't like, holy shit. Today, I'm gonna be giving you all my personal 10 favorite Sonic games. Even though I've made this video before, this was a lot harder than I thought because there are a lot of great ones contrary to popular belief. On top of that, my opinions have changed a lot, and I was a little worried of putting out my true feelings because this fanbase is pretty scary, but no more. No longer will I be afraid to reach out to the truth. That's just my way of saying, please respect my opinion. This fanbase is kind of freaky and not in the good way. Only rule for this list is that I'm not including any spin-offs, as I want to keep a focus on the main series titles. Those can be saved for another day. Maybe. As stated earlier, my opinions have changed a lot since my older video on the same topic, so for those of you who already saw that, you'll be in for a surprise. For those of you who didn't, good. Alright, that's enough stalling. Let's finally dive into my top 10 favorite Sonic games. Let's go. Hey guys, guess who still likes Sonic Adventure 2? This game's weird, but with some personal nostalgia and what I think to be genuinely good design choices, I still find myself coming back to Sonic Adventure 2. This game's tight, despite it being one of the most hated games in the series at this point. Like, wow, can you believe that this used to be one of the most loved entries? Crazy, right? Don't take it being at the bottom of the list as me not liking it. This game is at least an 8.5 out of 10 for me. The story is unnecessarily dark, cheesy, and takes itself way too seriously, but I love it for those very reasons. There are plot holes and inconsistencies, and some of this shit makes no fucking sense, but it was entertaining in some strange way. And it's Sonic the Hedgehog. Why are we analyzing plots starring a blue walking talking hedgehog that can move faster than the speed of sound? Alright, that's enough on that. The colors and animations in this game were so ahead of its time, and while some are a bit clunky now, the movements, expressions, and even voice acting are all top notch. It's too bad the sound mixing in this game is so bad you can barely hear them at times.
Signal from the emerald.
What? But hey, at least I can't hear the characters over a soundtrack that's one of the better ones in the series, already full of phenomenal music. The sound is so crisp, creative, and varied, like, damn. Rock, jazz, techno, rap, orchestra, vocals, mwah! It's all so good. Then in terms of gameplay, the speed stages are some of the best in the series, with well-designed levels, great controls, and memorable set pieces. And as controversial as they are, I really do like the treasure hunting stages, and the shooting ones are alright. Just, I don't know, man. This game grew on me and will continue to do so. Is it nostalgia? Is it personal bias? Maybe, but there definitely is a lot of good here. The game's charming, has depth, extras, and care put into it on top of variety, making it a great 3D Sonic game in this guy's eyes. We can definitely do better, but this is still really fucking good. One of the most thrilling, cheesiest, and grooviest Sonic games, Sonic Rush was a blast from beginning to end. The portable Sonic games aren't talked about nearly enough because some of these are pretty awesome, with one of the two making it on the list being this joyride of a game. The story is simple as per 2D Sonic norm, but it gets a bit more involved with the introduction of a new set of characters, like Color Swap Eggman and Blaze the Cat, one of my personal favorites in the series and without a doubt the hottest character. Being one of the first DS games, the game graphically has held up pretty well. The game's using 3D models to show that the DS can handle these things, and with a stable frame rate handling the high-speed action, yeah, the DS will definitely be alright. The colors are also vibrant, and there are a couple of nice looking 2D models as well that all look pretty good. The 3D models really steal the show here though. Sonic and Blaze, as well as the bosses and many other environmental features, just look so good. And yes, they are in fact dancing. I mean, how could they not with bops like these? Good lord.
Oh no!
This is yet another top-tier Sonic soundtrack. So catchy, so fast-paced, so good. The dude who made the Jet Set Radio soundtrack composed this one, and it shows. Both are fantastic. And being the first game to introduce the boost, this game encourages speed, and a lot of it too. There are so many long stretches where you can just go fast, and it feels so good. Sonic and Blaze both play similarly, but Blaze is just a little bit slower and includes a lot more air mobility. Another character to play as who doesn't detract from the main gameplay yet provides something new and interesting? Huh. It's almost like that's how you're supposed to do multiple playable characters in a Sonic game. They even got the special stages right. What even? I will admit that levels later down the line get a bit unfair and the game starts to lose sight of what makes it so fun, but like, that's so overshadowed by the good. Sonic Rush is one groovy game. Really groovy. I know I already used that word before, but just, wow, this soundtrack is so good. And here we are, followed by the last portable Sonic game on this list. That, didn't take long at all. The Sonic Advance trilogy is an interesting one. The first one's great, a lot of fun platformer cross-speed gameplay that made me love the classic so much. It just barely didn't make the list because while Sonic Rush's later stages get pretty bleh, the later Advance stages are fucking bullshit. But hey, the rest of the game was good. Can't say the same for Advance 3, which was a level design nightmare the whole way through. Advance 2 though? An absolute joy. The main focus of this game is speed, kind of like Sonic Rush, except there's no boost and you have to work to get this speed naturally. Pulling off tricks, bouncing off enemies, going through loops, down slopes, it's all so fucking cool. I had so much fun playing through this game with this style. And yo, we got the boys, Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles, along with newcomer Cream. Looks cute but can snap the fucking game in two, like holy shit, she's actually the best character in the game. Story? Pfft. Who cares? It's all the same shit anyway, stop Eggman. Yeah, the game tries to make it more complicated, but literally just beat Eggman, ask questions later. On top of some of the best 2D Sonic gameplay with great controls and level design, you've got some of my favorite sprites on the GBA, and a soundtrack that's yet another example of Sonic's excellent OSTs. The Advance trilogy all had amazing music, and Advance 2 is my second favorite, right behind Advance 3. You know, the one thing that game did right. Nobody really talks about this game, and it's a shame. It's my personal favorite out of the Advance trilogy and out of Sonic's whole portable library, and that's a damn good title to have, wouldn't you say? Oh shit, it's a classic Sonic game. We love this guy. Just keep putting him in our modern Sonic games, Sega. In all seriousness, classic Sonic has many of my favorites in the series, and one of my favorites has got to be Sonic City. But like, seriously, Sega, stop putting him in our modern Sonic games. This is one of the most popular entries in the series, and it's easy to see why. It's good. Really good. About 90% good, I'd say. The story is simple as usual, but I'd say this is the first time where things try to get a bit more complicated, and I mean, whatever, at the end of the day, you're still trying to stop Eggman. However, comma, you're also trying to save the future. Whoa! Oh, and Amy too, I guess. The story's mainly known for introducing us to some of the best Sonic characters like said Amy and, you know, just motherfucking Metal Sonic. Look at him, so badass. Oh, glowing red eyes, shiny blue armor, jeez, what a stud! Yeah, I really like Metal Sonic. The graphics are nearly identical to how they were in the original game, but the colors are much brighter, making the environments look more alive. On top of that, the HD remake makes the game look a lot better with a stable frame rate and widescreen. Who knew I needed this so much? Not to mention we've got anime cutscenes here and there, and that's always a plus. The art style kind of reminds me of the Sonic anime movie. You guys remember that? It was something. And being that the game literally has CD in the title, we've got CD quality music, and calling it high tier doesn't do this one justice. Sonic CD has one of the best soundtracks in the series, easily top 3 without question. Hell, it has 2 soundtracks, one for the US and one for Japan. I don't know why they did this, but hey, twice the amazing music, that is fine with me. I personally prefer the Japanese soundtrack, but the US one is right behind it. They're both outstanding. Gameplay solid too. Sonic controls well and the levels are mostly good. Again, some of the stages have annoying ass gimmicks and don't always get remembered for the right reasons, but like, I'm enjoying a huge majority of this game. It's not the end of the world. Getting the true ending's a bit of a pain though, but you know, you don't have to do it. The endings aren't all that different anyway, so it's not that deep. Sonic CD is a great game, a fantastic one even. Play it and you're bound to love something about it. If anything, you'll be taken aback by the OG, the one and only Metal Sonic, baby! After years of terrible game after terrible game, with some debatable titles sprinkled here and there, how do you break the mold and provide a game mainly considered to be flat out good? Space. Space fixes everything. Sonic Colors is one beautiful game, a light at the end of the dark tunnel. This game rocks, like, a lot. For a while it was my favorite 3D Sonic game, and for good reason. The story's fun, although slightly cringy in many areas. I thought it was good though. If anything's 100% amazing though, it's gotta be the graphics. They pushed the non-HD Wii to its very limits. I mean, could you imagine if this game was officially released in HD? I don't think we're quite ready for that, to be honest. The animations, color scheme, effects, backgrounds, and all the movements in the cutscenes just excelente. The new voice actors are also some of my favorites in the series. They're very well suited for the comedy, especially Eggman, that beautiful bastard. And the orchestra soundtrack is 100% scrumptious. The way the game plays is very solid as well. Levels are so fun to play, even if they tend to lean a bit too much on the 2D side of things, and the locations you go through are both creative and a lot of fun. What can I say? They took the best part about Unleashed, the boost sections, and made a whole game surrounding them. While they aren't as good as said Unleashed stages, they come close. This was also the first game with the wisps, and funnily enough, the only one to use them right. A gimmick that adds to the game without overstaying their welcome like good gimmicks should do. Being a game full of great design choices, it's hard to dislike it. It's not my favorite 3D game anymore, but you know, I still love this game and would take it out to dinner every single day of the week. Remember when I couldn't decide for the life of me whether I preferred Generations or Colors? Well, I think I've finally come to a conclusion, if you couldn't tell. Sonic Generations is one hell of a celebration for 20 years in the series. It takes stages from past games in the series and remakes them for both classic and modern Sonic gameplay, making for a great game overall. The story is unfortunately weak, but because it's a Sonic game, I don't think it can hinder the overall package too much. Besides, everything else is incredibly above average. For example, the graphics are some of the best, especially on the PC, which can handle Ultra HD and give an incredibly stable 60 FPS. The soundtrack also remixes many songs from the past, and they are all magnifique. At this point, I'm sure even non-Sonic fans can tell that 99% of the time, Sonic soundtracks are some of the better ones in gaming. This one being no exception. As I stated earlier, the game has many remastered Sonic stages from the past that you can play through both with classic and modern Sonic. This was the first time Sega really hit us with a nostalgia bomb, and before it lost its luster due to being used all the fucking time, it hit hard. Classic Sonic, while not having the greatest physics like he did in the classic games, was a lot of fun to play as. Plus, his physics weren't nearly as broken as they could have been. Isn't that right, Forces? But yo, modern Sonic is at his absolute peak here. Not only are his controls amazing, but his levels are some of the best, having multiple paths and a mix of platforming and speed blended to perfection. His levels are just, so good. Add in a bunch of great boss battles, final boss notwithstanding, tons of extra missions, and a lot of little bonuses, you've got one of the best 3D Sonic games oozing with great content. It's the kind of birthday celebration that just keeps on giving, and I can't get enough of it. But even still, it's not my favorite 3D Sonic game, which just begs the question of what that could be. So, yeah, I wasn't kidding when I said my opinions have changed a lot. No, this isn't a joke. Honestly, I can't believe I'm saying this myself, but after tossing and turning on what my favorite 3D title is, I just couldn't deny myself any longer. Sonic Unleashed is my favorite out of the bunch. And why is that, you may ask? Well, let's take a look at it. The story is one of, if not my personal favorite in the entire series, having that perfect balance of a serious tone and comedy. It's not ridiculously dark to the point where I can't be bothered anymore, and there are a lot of moments to remind me that this series is a cartoon and one that can have a lot of fun. The characterization especially is some of the best. Sonic, Tails, and newcomer Chip are all represented so well in this one, making me love following the story every time I replay the game. The graphics are still what I consider to be the best in the franchise as well. Minus the choppy frame rate, look at the environments, the models, the scale of the world you're traveling through. Being that this is an adventure across the entire globe, the places you go are all so diverse and full of life with the people and culture especially. And that soundtrack just breathtaking. Yet another one of my personal top 3 for the series. There's so much variety here too in order to compensate for, yet again, an adventure that spans across the entire world, and I love it for that. Not to mention that the songs are fast-paced and lively during the day, but more somber, quiet, and relaxing at night, never dipping in quality once. This leads me into the gameplay, which is the biggest reason this game doesn't have as much love as I feel it should. You play as both Sonic and his nighttime iteration of the Hedgehog in this game. As Sonic, you have the boost gameplay as seen in Colors and Generations earlier, but this is the first one to do it chronologically in 3D. As such, there are a few hiccups, but I feel overall this game has the best set of boost stages. They're long, challenging, and have so many set pieces that make me enjoy them and boot up the game just to play through them again and again. But then there are the nighttime stages which completely change up the gameplay style. Gone is the speed and in come the beat 'em up stages that last forever, Jesus Christ. But honestly, besides the ridiculous length of these levels, I'll be honest, they kinda grew on me. This is the main reason I love this game more than the other 3D ones, and why I can stomach these stages. I'm biased as fuck. I've played this game a lot ever since it came out, and as such, I've grown used to how this game works and can appreciate the Werehog stages. Even if they technically aren't good at all, they could be way worse. Sonic Unleashed is a game I love for personal reasons, but even putting that aside, this game is great. It's a hard one to recommend, but I see it as an acquired taste. I might get hate for this, and I can see why, but just let me have this one. Sonic Unleashed, to me anyway, is a great time. It's hard to defend this one, but I just really love this game, guys. And that's enough for me. Whew, we just went through the entirety of the Boost trilogy. Let's go back to the classics. Yep, that's exactly what I wanted. That feels good. Sonic 2, ladies and gentlemen, literally the second game in the series, and it managed to make it into my top 3. Is that a good thing or something you shouldn't be proud of? I'll leave that up to you guys to decide, because honestly, I don't care. This game's a fucking jam. Having some of the best graphics on the Genesis, Sonic and Tails are animated so well, flying past dozens of colorful, memorable zones in the series. Do I even need to go over the soundtrack? It's catchy, fun, and hype as hell, as well as being one of the more well-known ones in the series. For good reason, too, because, you know, it's good. I mean, Chemical Plant, anyone? Minus the bunches of times that stage got remade. Still doesn't beat Green Hill though. I mean, jeez. Playing the game is very simple yet effective, just as the classic games tend to do. It's easier to go faster because of the added spin dash, and as such, the levels are made to encourage more speed. This in turn makes the game a lot more fun to play than the original, and all but 2 games for me. The game doesn't do much and it's not very long, but it's also high in quality and very replayable. It's a game that encourages you to keep coming back to get better, and I really love that. It's great as a sequel, introducing great features like the spin dash, Tails, and Super Sonic. It's a great Sonic game, giving us a great balance of platforming challenges without neglecting the speed that makes us love the series to begin with, and most of all, it's a great game that keeps my attention the whole way through without losing its entertainment value. Minus Metropolis Zone. That one sucked. Still, Sonic 2 is rock solid. I've played it all the way through more times than I can count, and I'll just continue to do so. It's just too good. Alright guys, here we are with the top 2. In case you don't know me, let me give you some background. Sonic 3 and Knuckles for years was my favorite Sonic game without question. But then we got Sonic Mania, and then I was like, oh shit, what do I do now? I was just left as a confused little lover boy. And now I can't decide for the life of me whether I prefer Sonic 3 and Knuckles and Sonic Mania. At least I couldn't decide for the life of me. Today's the day, ladies and gentlemen. Which game do I ultimately prefer? I did say at the end of my Mania review that I maybe prefer it over 3 and Knuckles, but that was with the hype of the game having just came out and blowing my mind, affecting my opinion. So, after sitting down, replaying both games multiple times, crying a little, and thinking, I think I've finally gotten an answer. Let's look at the 2 back-to-back, and after going over why I love each one, see where it leaves us. Hey, gotta keep you guys suspended as much as I can. It's for dramatic effect. What can I say? Let's start off with Sonic 3 and Knuckles, since it came out first. Sonic 3 and Knuckles is one masterpiece of a game. As the 3rd classic Sonic game, or 4th if you count CD, it perfects the formula and then some. With a simple story that gets a bit more involved later on, you're always moving forward and always having reason to do so. A reason this one stands out despite its simple nature is for the same reason as CD, and introduces one of the more awesome Sonic characters. And unlike Sonic, he doesn't chuckle. Because it's Knuckles. The graphics are also much more detailed, with Sonic and Friends being more expressive than ever. I love the badass, determined look in Sonic 2, but I love the cocky smile and teenage attitude here even more. The backgrounds and environments are also ridiculously detailed and a fucking joy to look at as you blast through. And in case you weren't aware, the soundtrack was composed in part by the legend Michael Jackson, which is absolutely stellar. Just barely misses my top 3, but that's nothing to scoff at. You've got some epic tracks here. The level design is some of the best in the series too. There's such a great balance between the platforming challenges that are rarely ever tedious and the thrilling speed sections that remind us why we love Sonic to begin with. And with levels as varied as this game's selection, it makes for an experience that's as creative as it is fun. Each zone is pretty huge too. Dozens upon dozens of alternate paths, with some I'm still discovering to this day. It's ridiculous. Not to mention that the game has so many secrets and unlockables, making for one of, if not the most rewarding Sonic games to this date. There are even 3 playable characters to play as, giving you a different experience each time, but never detracting from the overall gameplay, which is exactly how you handle multiple playable characters in any platformer. Adding a fun multiplayer distraction on top of the long, quality-heavy single-player campaign, this is a strong contender for my favorite Sonic game, and one that held the title with no competition for years. Just what does this newbie have to offer to the king? Sonic Mania is a game that caught me so off guard by how good it was. The trailers look great, but actually playing this game is a dream come true. For one, the story is also fairly simple, but gets a bit more involved later down the line. Not to the same extent, mind you, but who really cares anyway? The graphics are just as great as Sonic 3 and Knuckles, but for different reasons. They're much brighter, have a lot more detail being on more powerful hardware, but still have that classic look and charm to them. Being on Ultra HD consoles though, animations are so much smoother with the oh so sexy 60 FPS that never dropped once in my many playthroughs of the game. There are even a few animated cutscenes here and there that all look incredible, especially that opening, which just blows my mind in terms of its quality. But when it comes to the soundtrack, there's just no competition. Not to say that Sonic 3 and Knuckles has a bad one, it's just that Mania's is so good. The final OST out of the top 3 of my personal favorite in the series, this collection of musical masterpieces is a gift from the heavens themselves. They also managed to capture the magic and feel of the classic games in terms of the controls, which is impressive in of itself, but what makes it stand out that much more is the crazy good level design. Stages managed to have the speed seen in Sonic 2 and platforming greatness from 3 and Knuckles. There are some returning stages a la Generations, but each one is so reimagined and unique that they could pass for completely new stages. Even then, the brand new ones still managed to steal the show, all being ridiculously fresh and an absolute blast to play. Surprisingly though, even the bosses were something to write home about. These range from okay to the very rare great in the classic games, but every single one minus this asshole were something to look forward to. Clearly, there's a lot of love put into this game, and the craziest part is that it was made by people who started off making fan games. The love for this franchise is very easy to see, and overall the experience was heightened because of it. Color me surprised. This game is near perfect, just like its big brother. All of that being said though, we've got to have a winner. Sonic 3 and Knuckles or Sonic Mania. It's been flip-flopping for me back and forth, but I've finally come to a decision. Sonic 3 and Knuckles, you've been my favorite Sonic game for years, and for a damn good reason. But let's not fool ourselves, Sonic Mania is the new king of the franchise for me. Mania is a game that literally takes everything from Sonic 3 and Knuckles that makes a great Sonic game and expands on it, giving us exhilarating blast processing and platforming challenges. Not to mention it does its own shit to stand out, like boss battles worthy of being some of my favorites in the series, giving what I feel to be the best color palette out of all the classic games, and the best soundtrack in the series bar none. It may be missing the Super Emerald and is arguably not as long as 3 and Knuckles, but where that game had 1 or 2 zones I dread going through, this game has none. Every stage is crafted with such care, purpose, and entertainment that the spotless experience I had with Mania just left 3 and Knuckles in the dust. I've been replaying this game so much since it came out and will continue to do so because no matter how you look at it, this game is something to marvel at. And with all that said, Sonic Mania earns the #1 spot on my list.